we're going to look at conundrums and its whole number values. The biggest deal out of with this is that you have to know that 12 inches equals 1 foot, that there's 3 feet in 1 yard. Most of you know that already, but if you don't, that's something that you're going to have to just memorize. And they want you to go ahead and fill in the blanks. So knowing that 1 yard equals 3 feet, we can set up a proportion. Then they want to find out how many yards are in 15 feet. So then you ask yourself, how do you get from 3 feet to 15 feet? We take a peek, and what we would be doing is multiplying by 5. 5 over 5 equals 1. Identity property tells us we can multiply any value by 1 and not change the value. So we have 3 feet times 5 gets us to the 15 feet that they gave us. 1 yard times 5 is going to get us to 5 yards, and that would be your answer. Next question. They would like to know how many inches are in 8 feet. Well, we know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Therefore, we set up our first ratio, and the second ratio is going to be the 8 feet. Notice I have feet in the numerator because we have feet in the numerator over on the left side. So what do we need to do to get from 1 foot to 8 feet? And we can take a look. We would multiply by 8. So 1 times 8 would get us to our 8 feet. 12 inches times the 8 would get us 96 inches, and that would be your answer. They also show it, and I think it's really interesting because we did this already. They show it in a tape diagram where you could just make a number line, and in the numerator, if you will, you would have your feet, and then you'd have your yards. And knowing what you know, that in 1 yard there are 3 feet, you could go ahead and with the yards count by ones, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And then in the top part, you would skip count 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and there you would have your answer. So I think that's kind of an interesting way to do it as well. Same would hold true if you would look at feet and inches. And I think you should really try that just for something different. So now they're saying a tree is 59 inches tall. How tall is it in feet and inches? Now again, you have to know that there are 12 inches in every 1 foot. So take a look. They did the same thing. They used a tape diagram. They started out with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet. On the right side in blue, they skip count by 12s because for every 1 foot there are 12 inches. And so on this particular one, they had 5 feet, 60 inches. Notice the 59 is just below, so then we would know that it would have to be 4 feet, and then you'd have to look at how many inches are left over, and it would be 11. You could do division if you know how to do it that way. Next, adding measurements in feet and inches. Kind of like the other problem. They've got 3 boards and they're placing them end to end. They're giving you the measurements 6 feet and 8 inches, 5 feet 11 inches, and 5 feet and 10 inches. They want to know how long this board would be, or the walkway, in feet and inches. You could simply add up all of the feet first. So you'd have in red the 6, the 5, and the 5, and that would give you your 16 feet. I'm sorry if I said inches before. It would be 16 feet. And then you'd add up all your inches. Notice, all the numbers in blue add up to 29. You cannot have 29 inches. You would have to divide by 12. And if you would divide by 12, you'd end up getting your feet and inches. Add the feet to your previous number of 16. You'd have 18 feet and 5 inches. And that would be your answer. So you need to know that it's real important that you know that there are 12 inches in a foot. Next problem, looking at decimals. Don't let this scare you because it has the decimals in it. But they're saying a bridge connecting 2 cities separated by a lake and has a length of 5.65 miles. They're giving you the table of facts. Now, if you look, when they're asking you, what is your answer in yards, look at your chart over here, and you can see that 1 mile would be equal to 1,760 yards. That would be your first ratio. Then you're going to go ahead and put an equal sign because a proportion would be 2 fractions that are equal or two ratios that are equal. And go with the fact that they know that the length is 5.651 miles. I put miles in the numerator because I have miles in the numerator on the left side in my numerator. So then I'm going to go ahead and say, how do I get from 1 mile to 5.651 miles? Well, I would look and I would multiply. 1 times 5.651 would get me my 5.651 miles. I'd multiply 1,760 by 5.651, and I would end up with 9,945.76 yards. They want you to round your answer to the nearest tenth. So I have 9,945.76. They wanted it tenths, which is between tenths and hundreds. Always look at the guy next door. If it's 5 or more, you would round up, so your answer would be 9,945.8. That would be your answer. Here they have another way if you did not want to use a ratio or a proportion. If you know that you are multiplying by 1,760, you would do the same with the second number with miles, come up with your answer. Again, you'd be looking at the hundredths place, which is 5 or more. That would be rounding up. Little something to note. When you are converting a smaller unit to a larger one, you divide. So small to big, divide. Large to small, multiply. Time unit conversion with whole number values. Alan ate lunch in 8 minutes. How many seconds is this? Again, if you know that 1 minute is 60 seconds and you set up a proportion, you know that your 8 minutes goes in the numerator because it's in the numerator for your first ratio. Multiplied by 8, you'd end up with 60 times 8 or 480 seconds. Here they're giving you the facts about units of time. Again, if you don't know these, you should memorize them. You need to memorize those. It's very important. And again, the converting small to large, divide. If you have large to small, multiply. And that is it.